Yeah, we're on.
No doubt. Grouse.
No, grouse. Welcome, Gary Johal.
Thank you.
You do have a nice voice.
Thank you.
Have girls ever said that to you?
They have actually.
Yeah, it is. It's very nice. I don't know what to describe it to, but it's like it's soothing. It's
Yeah.
nice.
That's good. I like it. Someone told me that and I got really shy,
You're right.
but I love it as well.
No, it's good. Thanks for coming in, man.
No doubt. Thanks for having me.
What's on the hat? What does that say?
Ah,
Show
just-
everyone.
It's
I-
like
Is that Japanese or am I being
It's-
racist?
I think it's supposed to look Japanese. It's this brand called the Anti-Order, and they just make funny, weird shit, and I just like the way it looks.
All right, so that's not any sort of language.
Nah, it's sort of like the A that they use. Like
Okay.
on the side here it says Anti.
Okay. Is that a brand?
Yeah, it's like a British streetwear brand.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I
Fuck.
love that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Is that all they do? Just hats?
No, they do like jackets, shirts.
Is that jacket the
Jeans.
same as well?
No, that's a Ben Sherman, I think.
Oh, Ben Sherman. You know your brands, man.
I know, surprisingly vain. But this T-shirt, it's a Black Sabbath T-shirt, but I got it for $10 from
Nice.
Singapore.
Nice.
And in Singapore, this has no street cred because
Really?
everyone knows where you get it from. You get it from Peninsula Plaza. That's where you get all the knockoff T-shirts.
Right.
But over here, it's like, oh shit, Black Sabbath is cool. Over there, it's like, fuck, it's like getting a Target T-shirt, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, because they did that with Cotton On released, Cotton On?
Mm.
They released a whole heap of heavy metal T-shirts
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
for like $10.
And then people got really angry.
Yeah, because I had a whole heap of Metallica T-shirts, heavy metal T-shirts from the 80s, but my mum threw them out because my mum was, she's very religious, she's a Greek lady, so she saw Satan on every T-shirt. She's like, you're not fucking wearing that. So she threw them out, and they would have been worth a lot of money now.
Oh shit.
Vintage heavy
Yeah.
metal T-shirts.
Did she ever do this?
No, we weren't allowed to do that because apparently that was like a six and a six. So apparently that's the devil's number. So mum, we weren't allowed to do that.
Because wasn't it Dio who said he got it from his grandma and that's how you stop the evil eye? She used to do this.
I think it's slightly different. I could be wrong, but I think that is rock on, right? The
I know,
other
there's
one,
like the thumb out.
we have something similar. Like Greek customs have something similar, but I think we do something else with the forefinger comes across somehow. I've seen my mum do it.
Yeah.
Actually, JC, the man himself, is in a not a photo. I was going to say photo. He's in an icon picture where he does that to ward off evil spirits.
That, Jesus Christ. isn't
Something
that-
like that, but he does something similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, he's metal.
He's hardcore.
Yeah, he is.
Are you guys were you raised with a superstitious parents, like religious or?
Superstitious, yeah. Not really religious. My mom, was Sikh by birth, right?
Yeah. So just to backtrack quickly, you were born in Singapore,
In Singapore, yeah.
but the same way I was born in Australia with Greek parents, you were born in Singapore with Indian parents.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, got
But
you.
my mom, my mom and dad were born in Singapore and Indonesia.
Yeah.
But my mom lived in like Singapore, Malaysia, India. So like all over the place. But basically, Indian.
Why did she move around a lot? Like,
Her father moved around a lot.
was he in the military?
No, he
Oh.
was an accountant, so like
Oh,
super not military.
Okay. So,
But traditional Indian job, definitely.
so why was he bouncing around a lot?
I don't know. He just got to travel for work, and he actually apparently got a chance to move to Australia in like the 60s, and he said no. He said he wanted to stay in India, and my mom still regrets it till this day. She's like, "Why the fuck didn't we leave?"
Would she have preferred Australia?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But isn't Singapore pretty cool?
I mean, it is, but also like middle class here is way more awesome than middle class there. You guys, you put a lot of value on leisure, free time. There it's like a sin. You take a day off. How dare you? You're weak. You're not working hard enough.
The culture.
Yeah, unless you're killing yourself. Like, what's this? The first time I ever took a vacation that was longer than a week, I felt so guilty. It was my Australian ex-girlfriend who we went to Thailand for 2 weeks. To me, that was nuts. I was like, 1 week is enough. She was like, no, I was going to go for a month, but we'll just go for 2 weeks instead. And to me, that was craziness.
Is it Sinhalese?
Singlish, like the Singaporean language.
I was gonna say, is that Singaporean or Sinhalese? Is that
So Sinhalese is the Sri Lankan language, I think.
okay? So Singaporean, right?
There's sort of like Singlish, which is basically like Pidgin English. It's like our version of Cockney.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to work out the culture, the
Mm.
ethos of Singapore.
Yeah.
Where does that is that just ingrained in their culture, or is that the Indian culture from your parents saying no, you can't be lazy, you got to work, you can't take a day off, you
Yeah.
can't.
I think it's both. I think because
Both.
Singapore is made up of Indians, Chinese, and Malays.
Yeah, can you give me a history lesson, man? 'Cause all I know about Singapore is we'd stop over there on the way to Greece when I was a kid. That's where Olympic Airways would fuel up the plane and we'd be back on the road.
Olympic Airways, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
man.
such a
Like,
great.
I don't know anything about Singapore. It's fucking
Yeah.
daft of me. I know. It's,
No, that's totally fine, dude. When I first came here, when I told people I was from Singapore, first is they wouldn't believe me. They're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
but basically you don't look Chinese." And then second, they're like, "Oh yeah, Singapore, that's great. I've been to the airport."
Yeah,
That's
that's-
literally
It's a stopover, man. It's a fucking
Yeah.
pit stop.
definitely. So it's made up of Indians, Chinese, and Malays, predominantly Chinese from China. Indians are like the second smallest percentage, I think.
Okay.
So it's like quite multicultural, and they're quite different in their cultures, but there's some similarities. Like quite conservative, work really hard, kind of racist in their own way.
Yep.
Hate each other, but also love each other, kind of thing.
Yep.
So I think it's a Singaporean thing to work very hard, because the way we grew up was like anything to do with arts, leisure, and all that's a joke. You work hard, you do sciences. Arts and crafts in school was the lesson to fuck around.
Mm.
Close to exams, they would just cancel recess and arts. They would cancel PE and arts because they're like, "Fuck, you doing this for?"
Fuck. So
Study.
just more maths,
Yeah.
more science.
And then stay back after school and then go home and have tuition. But yeah, that culture I think is just Asian in general. That the whole work
Yeah.
really hard, don't take leave. Why are you leaving the office before 6? The boss is still here, even though you're not doing shit.
And that exists to this day, right? In Singapore.
I think it's less, but yeah, it does.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. So that's has Singapore been a country for a couple hundred years? I got no idea on the history. Like,
It used to be like ages ago, hundreds of years ago. It was like a part of like the Hindu kingdom, which covered like Indonesia, Malaysia, and all that.
yep.
And then it was just kind of like a fishing village for a while.
Really.
And then the British came,
Mm.
and the guy was like, "This place is sick." It was like in 18 something. They made it like some trading outpost of the British Empire.
Got you.
And then it was part of the British Empire. And then in World War II, the Japanese invaded.
Mm.
And I think
Why did they invade? Was it strategic?
World War II, they invaded, like, I think Thailand, Malaysia, Myanmar, and all that. Maybe not Thailand. And then they went down south to Singapore.
Yeah.
And the British had their guns all pointed in the wrong direction. They had it pointed south because they're like, these guys are going to come on boats. Meanwhile, the Japanese came down from the north through the causeway on bicycles.
On bikes.
On bicycles, yeah. And that's actually
Fuck.
was like a life hack. Because they were like, they're probably like 8 days march away. Meanwhile, these guys are on like the BMX. He got there in 2 days and just gacked everyone.
Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. And I think after Dunkirk or something, it was like the worst defeat in British history for World War II when Singapore fell to the Japanese.
Right.
And then the Japs were there for a few years. They left, and then I don't know what happened for a few years. In 1965, finally became like independent country.
Yep.
Yeah.
And your parents moved there from India?
Yeah. My mom was living. She grew up
Oh, she's living all over.
living all over, and then
Yep.
she got married to my dad, and then they moved, finally settled in Singapore. Yeah.
So you come here to Melbourne,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the first things you realize is how fucking relaxed and cool and comfortable we are in
Yeah.
terms of, and how big the middle class is.
Yes, there's dignity in work here.
Yeah.
You can be like a tradie. A tradie in Singapore is basically an imported construction worker from like a third world country, being paid fuck all, no safety, like no vests or any of that shit. Here you can be a tradie and like have a house. That's unheard of.
Tradies will have more money than we'll ever have, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. With the housing boom, especially.
Yeah.
We call them cashed up bogans.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Cashed up Vogans, yeah. And
You know which other one I like, which I didn't know? Joel Pierce told me. Bricky's laptop. is
Ricky's laptop.
is the pokies. I think that's great.
Ricky's laptop.
A
Oh,
bricky's
man.
laptop is a poker machine.
That's classic. Yeah.
Because I work at the pokies. I see them coming in. They're cashed up to the
Yeah.
max. They're dressed like shit. They've got shit all over them.
Yeah.
High vis, but rolls of cash.
Yeah. You gotta love the high vis.
Yeah.
They love to wear it everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like-
it's their thing.
The uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like a bit of high vis as well.
You do?
Yeah. I don't know what it is. It's like you feel more butch. You feel like people respect you.
Yeah, right.
Because, you don't want to walk around all stuffy in a suit. Not that I own a suit, but, like, you know what I mean? You wear high vis, you feel like... It's like I drive my brother's Jeep, and it's way too manly a car for me. But when I drive it, people give me way.
With the high vis.
Yeah. And just, the Jeep is like my high vis of cars.
Yeah.
They look at me like, oh, this guy probably got chest hair or something.
Yeah.
And they give me way.
I get out of the way if I see a four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
I don't play chicken because some of our roads are narrow here in Brunswick. So someone's got to yield. It's a Mexican standoff. It's like you drive towards each other. Someone's got to yield. I yield to the bigger cars.
Yeah. I noticed that driving here, actually, you got a few roads like that.
Yeah, that's Brunswick. It's old. This used to be old factories. So they were narrow. So, yeah, going back to what I said before. So you get here. And what age did you come to Melbourne?
I was 22. 2007.
22.
Yeah.
Right, so that's enough of a mind to ascertain what a big fucking difference it is to
Oh, yeah.
Singapore.
Big time.
So how lucky are we? Tell the fucking world how. Because I lived in the UK for 10 years, so my mates in the UK watch this podcast, and they themselves, I kept telling them, there's nothing sweeter than our backyards, our blue sky, our ability to just see a vast sky. You don't see sky in the UK, especially across Europe as well. When I was traveling, gigging. It's you take the blue sky for granted here.
No doubt. I was going to ask you about the UK.
Ask anything.
What?
Else.
So you gigged for 10 years in the UK?
Yeah,
What was that like?
it was brilliant.
Yeah. How'd you?
I keep saying to Axe, it's just versatile. It makes you versatile. It didn't make me funnier, but it made me versatile. Because it's like Monday night you'll do a darts show at a darts pub. So it's very blokey, so you got to do some blokey material. And then Sunday night you'll be in a village doing like a theatre with silver foxes in the crowd and like an older audience. So you got to be more creative with your material. And then on a Saturday you'll do a bucks party, and they're all within like 50, 60 kilometers of each other. So it's just varied gigs. Unlike here where you've just got audiences in Melbourne. So you've got the Comics Lounge, you can do your set there, and then you can do the same set at King's, and then you can do the same set pretty much any room at the Brunny. But in England, you've got to sort of look at the crowd and assess, they're different here.
Yeah. And was there a big like comedy club scene?
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
That's why I went there. You can work every night.
Yeah.
A lot of people's... I worked there as an unknown comic and got paid a decent wage.
Yeah.
I got by.
Yeah.
I still had to, look at the money I was making and budget, but it was enough to get by.
Yeah.
Just doing stand-up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was great. And that's why I think it's harder to make it here in Melbourne because the opportunities are so few and the clubs are so limited. And the distances you have to travel to go to Sydney and Perth and Brisbane to click all these clubs together to make money is very hard. Whereas in London... a lot of comics would live in Birmingham.
Oh, that's where like all the Indian people are.
So,
Is it?
There's fucking Indian people everywhere in England.
No, it's
They're
taken
everywhere.
over.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But there's there's cultures. Just a mixture, especially in London.
Yeah.
But you, as a comic, you live in Birmingham, and you're 3 hours by car away from every single gig. The furthest gig is 3 hours away.
Really? In the whole country?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Scotland is the limit.
Yeah.
So from Birmingham, you can drive up to Liverpool, do a gig, come back. Liverpool's got a healthy circuit.
Yeah.
Then you drive to Manchester. Manchester's got a healthy circuit. London's got its own healthy circuit. Then East Country, West Country, they've all got their own healthy circuit. So that's where I find it more difficult to make it here because there's not a lot of clubs. So you got to subsidize your income like I do with a part-time pub job.
Yep.
Whereas in England, You can be unknown
Mhm.
and gig every night. Make £100 here, £80 there,
Yeah.
£150 there, and it just adds up.
Were you more happy here or there?
In the beginning there,
Yeah.
but ultimately sadder because I missed family, friends,
Mm.
and what Melbourne was. So we go
Mhm.
full circle back to you. What was your difference?
You're very good.
What you noticed between Melbourne and Singapore,
Singapore.
At 22 when you got here?
Well, initially for the first few months, I was like extremely homesick, but not because I could have been in New York and been homesick. I just didn't have much friends and all that kind of stuff over here. But once I got used to it, the difference is I think it's just a better life here. Honestly, I think it's a better life.
Yeah. Is there there's less pressure?
Oh my god, so much less pressure.
Yeah,
So much.
You can pursue your
You guys take gap years? When I found that out, I couldn't fucking believe it. I met
Yeah.
some guy in uni, and he was like, "Oh, I took a gap year." I was like, "What's that?"
It's fuck all. That's what gap means. It's fuck all.
It was.
I want to do nothing.
Yeah, he was like, "I went traveling for a year," and I was like, "How old are you?" He's like, 19. I was like, "What? You traveled for a year?" And I was like, "Do your parents know?" They were like, "Yeah, they encouraged me." I was like, "What, dude? In Singapore, your parents will beat you if you dare say any shit like, I want to just take a year off from what? High school? High school? Get the fuck into uni, man."
Yeah,
Like,
a gap year is a wonderful experience to go and see the world and realize how lucky we are in Australia. I mean, like you said, Singapore was a derivative of the Asian culture being work hard, you got to make money because they just come from impoverished conditions.
Yeah.
So it's go, go, go. The
Yep.
same with my parents. They came from poverty from Greece and they're like, just work, work, work.
Yeah.
But we can afford the luxury of having a gap year where we can go and see these other places in the world and realize how lucky we are to fucking live in Australia when you see so much poverty and how hard people have to work just to get a shitty minimum wage.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely, and I think like what Australians do really well. One is like the welfare system. Obviously, there's dole bludgers, which annoys the fuck out of me, and we know a few of them in the comedy scene.
Well, yeah,
They're chronically unemployed, and you think with all that time you write a good set, but I gotta ease up on the haterade. But yeah, like if something happens to you here medically, like you're fine. If you're in the States, even you're fucked, man.
yeah, you're gone.
One major health incident from losing everything. There's a premium on. You guys value free time, like leisure. There's a balance.
Yeah.
But also, like I realized that people actually died for that shit. The Eureka Stockade, the 8-hour day.
Yeah, I don't know much about that, man.
I just know it was something like people were getting fucked over.
That was in the goldfields, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then they were like, I'm not gonna work 16 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours play, 8 hours work, 8 hours
Yeah.
sleep, and like people died for that shit, and I really appreciate that. Like someone actually had to die for us to bitch and be like, ugh, I was like work for a full 8 hours. Meanwhile, they're like, if you have an 18-hour day, they're like, oh wow, that was light, But I think it's good, man. You guys have more of a balance.
Yeah. As a comedian like myself, our dream is to have a 20-minute day. Just 20
Oh,
minutes.
big time, yeah.
20 minutes a night, do a show, 20 minutes, get
Yeah.
paid, go home.
I hate normal work, like employment.
I don't. Yeah, I abandoned my career from like when I got a degree in like economics and all that shit. And
I actually want to ask you about that.
I abandoned all that. So I work in a pub now part time,
Yep.
and I hang around some interesting characters.
Yeah.
But as a comedian, I prefer colorful characters, man. I just, I hate the suits, the beige people, the dead behind the eyes,
Yeah. But when you say colorful people, though, what about the dysfunction? Because you keep
That's what
your
I'm saying, they're all
apartment
dysfunctional.
really clean and like your life is very ordered. You got your shit together.
Yeah.
But then there's all this dysfunction. Like, do you like for me, like some people in the scene, they're like really fucked up. They got their drug issues or whatever, and like, man, that I feel like that could be me, and that's why I find it so disgusting. I can't be near that at all. Even though like maybe you might be funny, I can hang out with you a little bit, but I feel like I'm catching it. I'm catching fuck up.
Right. Yeah.
Do you ever feel that?
No. I feel when I'm at work in the pokies and I see junkies fighting over a deal gone bad, some addicts hallucinating that there are spiders crawling all over them, or a blind man who plays regularly, and he's like punching a machine, saying it's not working. And when I told him he's hitting the cigarette machine, he apologized. Right? These people I don't become part of them. But having said that, I only work 4 days there. So, and I only do like 20 to 25 hours. So I'm in and out. And I treat it like David Attenborough. Like it's from an anthropological perspective. I'm very curious.
Yeah.
And I'm a performer. So I look and I take things that I could use on stage.
Yep.
As for my apartment, you're the third the third guest that I've had here that keeps talking about how clean it is. I just like order. And then when I'm on stage, I like to have chaos. Like I want to like say shit and put my foot wrong and say, maybe it's not going to be funny, but the stage is where I can just cut loose and be really messy. And then off stage, I like to be ordered and disciplined and listen back to a set and transcribe it and see where I think I can be funnier. I have a whiteboard with all my material written on it.
That,
You know, so, but because that makes me, I feel like if I do that, I can be way more chaotic on stage because I've deserved it. I have the right to be really creative because I think creativity comes from a lack of order, and, you know, when you just throw it all up in the air and just go for it.
Yeah, it's like sort of lateral thinking, thinking outside the box and everything. Yeah. But I love your life. You're like the samurai of the Melbourne comedy scene.
Bullshit. Who said that?
I'm saying it.
What does that mean?
It means you're very ordered.
Yeah.
Your house is very Japanese. Like I've not
Is
seen
it?
a house this. As soon as I entered, like 3 seconds, I was like, I feel like I'm back in Tokyo.
Are you serious?
Yeah, for real. Everything, and it's like clean lines. You know, not too much shit. You know how everyone always has. We all have shit in our. Oh, you won't know. No, but we have like shit. You know, some cunt will give you like a dolphin paperweight. They went halfway around the world, and the one souvenir they could find is the shit you could buy down the road.
Yes.
And now you got to keep this rubbish on your mantelpiece.
No, I don't keep it.
Exactly, I like that.
Yeah,
I think this is like probably most extravagant thing you have in your whole house. And there's probably a story you went to Africa and killed someone or something, and they gave you
Nah, it just looks like a mix between a female and an alien. So I kind of like her.
No doubt.
And I just love the way she's I don't know. When I look at her, I think she's listening. Like she's interested, and I think that's what I want to try. That's what I want to try and get out of this show. I just want to have a nice flowing discussion.
See?
Unedited, because I don't like to edit, because that way if you say something and I'm not interested, I can tune off, and I think that's disrespectful, because I'll be like, I could just edit this shit out later.
True,
I'm like,
true.
nah, that's not fair. You got to be on the pulse of it. It's like a live gig.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I like her.
See, there's a place and a purpose for everything. It isn't just some random shit you bought from Target. This is some deep shit. There's like 3 layers to this.
Tell me about you. Are you clean? Do you have to have order?
I wish I was, man.
Are you messy?
I feel like I generally veer towards messy, but I really like clean. Like when I clean my room, I feel so good and like everything's in order. But then it kind of becomes a mess. I veer more to it. Yeah, I think so.
All right. Do you live alone?
I struggle with it. No, I live with my mom actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got your room and you keep your room clean without your mum telling you off, or does your mum?
Quite the opposite. Nah, she tells me off all the time about how messy it is. But you gotta understand, like her level of mess. Like she would come here and love it, but her level of mess is like, you know, if there's something slightly out of place, she'll just murder the neighbors or something. Like she's very, very, very high standards. So like, if I have a couple of socks on the floor, that's like I brought shame upon the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you brought shame upon your family by pursuing stand-up comedy? like my mother?
Yeah. Good question.
I think our mothers are similar, man.
Yeah.
I think African mothers, Asian mothers, WOG mothers from Italy, Spain, they're very similar, you know. When I gigged in England for 10 years, and on the way back from gigs at 2 a.m, driving on the freeway, it'll always be the African comics phone going off with their mum on the phone, or, you know, never the Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah.
It'll be like, okay, see you in 4 days.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Do you hug your parents?
Absolutely. Not now with COVID.
Yeah.
I sort of like fist bump my mum, but...
Really?
Well, I'm just cautious, man.
Mm.
Fuck, if anything, because my mum won't take AstraZeneca.
I knew it.
And everyone that's taken it, she'll ring them up and go, "How you feeling? Are you all right?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Leave us alone, Amelia. We're fine. Go and take the fucking vaccine for yourself."
Have you seen people who like shake hands with their dads? It's a very like Aussie thing.
It's too Aussie.
I saw someone do it, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? It's your dad. Like,
Yeah.
hug him." And he's like, "It's a bit gay."
No, it's not
your
gay.
dad. I know. Like I hug my mom. We're very, like normal family. We hug each other and all. And then I saw someone who like just shakes. Like the way he met his dad was the way I met his dad. And if it wasn't for the fact that I'm brown and he's white, you wouldn't know which one was the son.
Yeah, right.
I was like, that's mind blowing to me. Is
Yeah.
your dad? When you gonna hug him, man? When he's like on the deathbed, hug him.
Hug him. Get in there.
No doubt.
Yeah, I'm the same. I hug my dad. I hug my mum. That's one of the reasons why I came back after 10 years of gigging. I missed that that family, the core family. So you've got your mum here.
Yeah, I do.
Does she is she upset that you're doing stand up? Because my mum doesn't understand what I'm doing. She's like, "Why did you leave a good paying job
Yep.
to do this shit?" And she doesn't understand my jokes because her understanding of English can't go to those depths.
Yeah. So, but has she come and seen you crush before?
No.
Yeah.
No, never. She never will.
Yeah. I said to come to Comics Lounge one night and see you crush, and she'd be like, "Oh, that's my son."
I would like to bring my mum to a gig, but like I said, the only thing is I'll come off stage and she'll be like, "Why'd you swear for?" And what's that joke about Usain Bolt? That's disgusting.
Would she also like? I feel like this is also like an Asian parent thing. No matter how well you do on stage, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it was good, it was good." You can be the fucking man, the headliner, crush, destroy, and they'll be like, "Good." So how much you got paid for this?
Absolutely.
How many nights? And they're just mentally trying to calculate the yearly wage versus what you left, and they're like, "I don't know if this is good."
Oh yeah, I could ring my mum and go, "Hey mum, I did a football club in July in the last week of. What did I get for that?" She went, "Which one?" "Oh, the one in Mildura." "Oh, you got 300.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Like she always asks.
The money?
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because it's she's coming from a place of fear. She had nothing when she came here. She was a 19-year-old girl when she came to Australia. She had nothing at all. So she knows the only way to protect yourself is to acquire assets and money.
Definitely.
So,
I totally get that, yeah.
Yeah, that's where she's coming. So I understand her. So I don't attack her on that front.
Yeah.
But what she needs to understand, but she never will, is that she's built such a life up that's afforded me a luxury of pursuing a creative passion.
Yeah.
And I think that's the American dream in Australia. To
It
just
is 100%.
be fucking creative, man, and have a great life, and not just I have a mortgage on this place, and that's about it. But I don't spend a lot of money, so I'm very minimalistic, as you said before, with my apartment. I don't overindulge in much shit, so just do stand up and have fun.
You're living the life, man. You're living the dream. You seem very centered, which
But
I
you're
love.
living the dream too. Every time I see you, you're like, I'm sure everyone in the Melbourne comedy scene would back me up on this, but you're a positive spirit in the circuit, right? You're always holding a pint of beer. You're always happy to see us as comics.
Yeah.
You're not a negative presence in the industry.
Yeah. That's very true. But also, I know like some people who know me will laugh because, yes, that's true on the surface, but there's also so much hate and anger underneath all of that.
We're comics. We need that.
Do you have that as well? Do you have like? But see, I feel like with you, if you may allow me to make this observation, like you've been, you've put in the miles and you've got the skill and the talent and you do the work. So like you've got the good gigs and all that rest. The rest of us are like, and this is no excuse for being a bitch, but a lot of us are like, fuck, this guy got that gig. Why the fuck didn't I get that spot?
Oh, that always happens.
This cunt didn't reply. Are you fucking kidding me? You got this person on? Fuck you. Didn't say hi to me at a gig. Like, I want your whole family dead. Do you have that as well, or are you very much like?
I do have that. But you've got to
you really?
You've got to channel it.
How do you do that? I feel like this has become a therapy session.
Well, yeah. I think some of the best talks are therapy. I think when I get angry about what other comics are doing, and if you don't have that feeling, I think you're lying to yourself, because it's part and parcel. We're all essentially on a Formula One track racing, trying to get the best position we can for our
Mhm.
career. I focus on myself again. I bring it in. So I
Mm.
look at my material. I analyze, am I swearing too much? Am I babbling on too much?
Mm.
Are there any words that I can remove from my set which are affecting my word economy? Less is more type of thing.
Yep.
So yeah, I think the anger goes outward to other acts, like why aren't I getting these opportunities?
Yep.
But then I refocus and go, nah, man, you just focus on what you need to do. Focus on your material. Focus on growing your act. When was the last time you wrote a joke?
Yes.
When was the last time you got a whole new bit out? And then that will push me to go down to Dirty Secrets or Brunny and just
Mm.
belt out a new 2 minute bit, even if it's like a minute or 2 minutes, anything, just something new that I could then like scratch at and try and grow.
Yep.
What do you do?
I have been trying to do that actually after years of.
Because how long have you been gigging? I've been
Oh,
gigging
man,
19,
too long. I started in 2013,
2013.
so about 8 years. But yeah, what I try and do is then, like what you said, take that energy and be like, you know what, it's out. I do this thing where I tell myself, it's out of your control, right? You can't choose who likes you, who doesn't like you, whatever. What you can do is be undeniable, be good,
Yeah.
smash, just like do a good gig. Whatever happens, happens. And you know what? I've been doing this long enough to know, like, no matter what, every month, every week, every year, some cunt's not gonna book you for the thing that you want to get, but then you'll get something else out of nowhere. You never know. Just it's like there was someone who said, incremental improvement is unstoppable. Just
Yeah.
get a little bit better every day, and you'll be fine.
That's it.
And
And
then, but also, I do have to go through that anger. I've realized I'm just an angry person, and that's fine. But like, I gotta digest it and then let it come out into like,
who sees the anger? We don't see it on the circuit. So who sees it? Is it your partner that sees the anger? Is it your mother that sees it? Is it
No,
your
no,
bedroom
no.
wall that sees the anger? Who
I think it's
sees?
the inside of my brain that sees the anger, and a few people who I talk to about this.
Yeah.
And then, but the interesting thing is, they're also like people who are like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
They reinforce that anger, but they're also fairly. They don't have victim mentality, which I think is a big difference. It's like, yeah, fuck this person, but also like, whatever, man, just do your thing. Whereas victim mentality is the whole scene is against me and no one likes me because I'm so controversial and I'm real. And it's like, no, you're not. You're shit.
Yeah. But
That's
those
why.
acts, I don't bother saying that to them
Yeah,
because they're so far diluted. You'll never
Oh,
bring
yeah.
them back to reality.
No doubt.
I'm like, if
Absolutely.
they actually think that, then I'm never going to pull them back.
Yeah, absolutely.
But are you happy with your progress? Like, how long have you got now? No one's really happy with their progress, but like, how long have you got now on stage, material-wise, and how are you feeling about where you're at?
Honestly, I would say I have like probably a good 20, not bad 25. I could stretch it out to like a shitty hour,
Yep.
but I wouldn't want to put anyone through that. I think I'm progressing all right, like way better than the last few years. I'm a bit more serious about it now. I'm actually writing and trying to improve my shit and get better, and cataloging all that stuff and adding it and try to have like an hour's worth by next year, hopefully.
Yeah.
For the next year festival, yeah.
Well, that's what I've been doing lately as well. Like,
Mhm.
especially I think what's changed for me in the last 3 years is zero online presence.
Oh, really?
Well, I just wasn't online, and it took the boys at the Comics Lounge at the start of the year to
Mm.
just sort of put me in the office and go, you need to develop an online presence, dude. It's ridiculous. Like, you've got nothing, and it's true. I had nothing, no clips, no website, no real Facebook, anything. So I'm like, all right, I'll start a podcast. I'll start recording my gigs, chopping up bits and putting them online.
Have you done that yet?
Yeah, it's in the process of
Yeah.
it, but I just was putting it in the back of my mind until last couple of years I realized stupidly, like a lot of people are like, oh, duh, but I wasn't aware of the power of online presence.
Yeah. Are you on social media much?
Not really,
Aye,
not as much as I need to be.
But just in general, like outside of comedy, just for fun.
No.
Yeah. I think that's why.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. It's good though. Good for your mental health to not be.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Social media is fucked. Can be. That's why I like Instagram.
It's from what I've worked out from social media, it's everyone's fucking innermost thoughts being vomited constantly,
Yeah.
and it's akin to a madhouse.
Yep.
There's no filter, so
That's
you're in a padded room hearing everyone's thoughts, and
Yeah.
it can do your head in.
And there's a lot of complaining. I mean, I realize I've been complaining a lot, but there's a lot of complaining.
Yeah,
And then there's also, like, everyone's just trying to flex, right? You're trying to show, like, your vacation picture, or what you're eating or drinking or whatever.
Mm.
And also a lot of it's like a celebration. Like, look at this awesome thing that I'm doing. Let's celebrate it. But, if you're not in a good place mentally and you see someone having an awesome time and you're having the worst day of your life, that contrast will stick in you like a knife. And that's from one person. You multiply it by like 800 friends on Facebook. That's like a mental health hazard, man, for real.
Yeah, no shit.
Like they say people who've got depression and stuff, one of the things they do tell you, go on an information light diet. You don't need to watch the news for 2 hours a day and take on the world's problems, man. You live in Reservoir, like, who cares?
Yes.
I do that. I don't watch. I glance at the headlines, that's it.
Before COVID, I was never watching the news. But now since COVID, unfortunately, I've been putting it on just for case numbers, only to ascertain, am I going to have a gig in 2 weeks?
Yep.
Can I book this gig in 2 weeks? Or, no, we've got 3 cases today. Oh, we're never going to open up.
Yeah.
And I hate that. But generally speaking, yeah, I hate the media because they appeal to the amygdala, which is your fear factor.
Yeah.
So they just fucking target your amygdala and say scary things to make you, fight or flight.
100%.
So
if it bleeds, it leads.
Mm.
I actually, a couple of years ago, I literally went and looked up, like, is there a website that just has good news? Because I was sick and tired of just hearing horrendous shit. It's like doing my media degree, so you have to pay attention to the news, right?
But you got a fucking media degree.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but everything was just bad news. It's like politicians are corrupt and this thing's not getting built and like Mikey is over budget and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh my God, one thing after another. Is someone rescue a cat up a tree? Anything could happen.
Could you find anything?
I found one website, but it was like a very ancient, very like MySpace-y kind of website where it's like very trite, positive news. And I just kind of stopped watching the news. And my antidote to that would just be following people I admire on Instagram. Like if you follow like David Goggins or Joe Rogan or like Jocko and all these people who like get shit done, and their message is really positive. The message is sort your shit out, life will take care of itself. Go work out, go write, go do these things, enjoy your friends, all that kind of shit. I love it.
Yeah.
Rather than someone being like, oh, everything sucks.
Yeah, I remember reading a quote from Aristotle that said something along the lines of, don't worry about the future. There's nothing that a rational mind can't handle at any given moment. And I sort of like take stock in that and put my faith in that and think everything's going to be all right. I'm like, I'll be able to handle any situations that comes my way. Just don't panic. Don't put too much pressure on myself. But my biggest demon is getting rid of the media, I think, helped a lot. Just tuning it out. But also, I don't know whether you get this as a performer, but it's never good enough. I hear that voice a lot in my head. That bit's not good enough to post. Don't post this interview. You need to edit it. So that's when I made another conscious decision that I'm just going to press record and then post everything. I'm not going to edit. Otherwise, I'll edit our interview down to 3 minutes because I'm like, that's all I'm really happy with. And you're fucked, man. You're putting these unrealistic parameters on you, and you can't. It's too narrow. You can't grow, move, and have fun. And of course, so now I'm trying to embrace imperfection more so than ever.
Yeah.
Do you hear this? Do you suffer the same?
100%, man. Paralysis by analysis.
That
can be my nickname.
Yeah. That's your fucking rap track.
That's my first diss track.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that bad, like to the point where it's probably harming me, because it has to be, because it has to be perfect, but it's not perfectionism. I saw a psychologist, one of many years ago, and she told me that's there's all or nothing thinking, because perfectionism seems to imply there's a perfect and that you're gonna get this done well, whereas it's really all or nothing thinking. Like if it's not the way I like it, it's never gonna be done, and it's never gonna be the way you like it, so nothing ever gets done. Like I've got so much footage of myself. I've got hours. I've not put one clip up since like 2018 Oh, probably like 2016.
Yeah, well, how do you overcome that? Because I think we suffer from the same thing. Like, it took me 18 years before I started posting stuff.
Yep.
18 years, man. Like, and I'm talking like my stand-up clips and
Mm.
this podcast. It took me 18 years because I inhibited myself. I was like, it's not good enough.
Mm.
And then I was like, it's never going to be good enough. And then I
True.
started feeling, publish or perish.
Mm.
And then I had this realization that you're not out there to go and get 1 million fans, are ya? What do I want from this? I'm like, all right, it'd be nice to just have my stuff out there online, and all I want is in 10 years time just have a few hundred people as a fan base that would come and visit you at a show, and or a Patreon where all you need is like 50 people to give you a couple of dollars a month.
Yeah.
And there's
Oh, yeah,
something.
Patreon. Forgot about that.
There's all these other avenues. Like, and you're not going to impress everyone.
Mm.
So it's that mentality that I had to shake as a performer, because it's so counterintuitive to the process of stand-up. When you get up on stage, you want to crush.
Yeah.
What does crush mean? Make everyone in the room laugh.
Yeah.
That's such a difficult thing to do, but a lot of times, good acts, and I've seen you do it, you get up and you just crush. And then you come off stage and you're like, oh, I'll go online. But going online, you have the same thinking. I want everyone to love this clip. But no, you're going to get heaps of dislikes. But that's the nature of that beast.
Yeah.
So you got to distinguish the two and go, it's okay. I'm going to get a lot of dislikes online, but it doesn't matter. As long as I get a few followers as I'm going along, as I move through the years, I just keep getting more subscribers.
Yeah.
Even if it's a trickle, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're mine. They're my fans. They're used to my sayings. They're used to my ideas.
You should be a comedy psychologist.
Well, but
It's very no. It's true. It's very wise.
mm.
No, I'm not joking. You should be. It's
Well, no, but this is just like, don't forget. Like, I'm also, I'm not cured. Like, I'm still struggling to, put stuff online.
Yeah.
And I envy.
People who can just do it. Yeah.
I envy people like Lewis Spears, who's built up a cult following.
Ah, yeah, true.
Just by fucking putting himself out there. It's fantastic. It's interesting how he's done it the reverse way. Like, I can go to the lounge and, do really well, knock on wood, and then he's like back engineered it. He's got the fans online and then got all those fans to come to the lounge.
Is that what he does?
Well, yeah, because he's got such a good following now where, to his credit, he can just do a comedy show at any gig and sell tickets and they'll come.
That's insane. That's like Dane Cook shit from ages ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's inside all of us, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's someone for everyone out there. So someone will like you. Someone will subscribe, follow you.
Do you think so? There's that self-critical aspect, right, where it's like, this has to be perfect before I put it up. It's not good enough, whatever. But do you think there's also that? I don't know if this is an Australian thing. Because I'm not from here originally. But there's that. I don't know if it's humility or like that not wanting to be boastful, where you're like, I'm not gonna put my shit up there. Who the fuck am I? And like, do you get that? Like,
You mean tall poppy syndrome?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a bit of that where there's that voice in my head, and that voice is made up of like all my friends from Singapore, and to their credit, they're actually fine and very supportive. But there's just that voice of like, just imagine like teachers when I was growing up, or like peers. If you try and do anything artistic or anything kind of out there, they're like, "Who the fuck are you? What nonsense is this? Shut up, sit down," kind of thing. And I know it's bullshit. Logically, I know it's bullshit. But when you feel something, it's different. There's a part of me that's like, ugh. Even when I put up like a post about a show that I'm gonna do, like comedy festival thing, I don't just put it up going like, oh sweet. I put it up like, ugh. There's a bit of me that's like, that's so gross.
But you have to.
You have to,
you?
yeah. You have
but
to.
that so to just to follow that train of thought, you feel gross when you put a post up there
so
advertising a show you're about to do,
Yeah.
right? It's normal. I think it's normal because I've spoken to other comics and I suffer from it, and other comics suffer from it. But like, why do you do what you do? Like, why do you do stand up? Is it a pastime just to do stuff, or is it a deeper enjoyment?
I think it started as a pastime. And then I got to really like it, and then now if I get to gig often and do well and gig to like large numbers, like I got to in the last festival, got really lucky with that. And then the voice inside me was like, "Oh shit! Like you can actually fucking do this, man. You can actually be like a comic with a capital C," and that like blew me away. If I could make a living from this one day, or it doesn't have to be a good living. If I can just do this like fairly often and be happy and get a bit of money, I'll be so happy with it. That's I think what's driving me.
Mm.
Yeah. So but it's not so much the money or not having to have a day job. It's just fucking awesome, man. With that feeling when you can do like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 or whatever, and then get people in the palm of your hand, and it's a creative thing that you've cobbled together and improved over time, and you can make them laugh, and you're like, "Fuck, this worked," and I used my brain to come up with that, and like it made all these strangers laugh, and it's like happiness. Like gigs are some of the best places. It's happiness. It's a happy factory. You're not there to like exchange sad poems and snap fingers or whatever. It's it's like I was thinking last night I was at a gig, and on the drive home I was like so happy. I felt it was nice to see all my friends, and it's like it was fun, and people laugh and all that kind of stuff. You might have a few beers, and I was just thinking if this was any other creative outlet, if this was like I don't know life drawing or like a poetry thing, can you imagine doing poetry every night? I'll kill myself.
Well, yeah, you'd kill yourself, or you'd write great poetry and have a whole heap of dark friends around you. That
I
think
know
you're
that will
amazing.
make me want to kill myself.
It'll make
even
you want
more.
to kill us. Yeah. So is it definitive? Does it define you in a way? Is it a massive component of who you are as a person?
I think being funny does, but comedy no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I've
like.
always been
Go on. Sorry, you
Um,
always been.
I've always been a funny guy. In school, my teachers used to call me and always complain to my mom. One, very talkative. Two, very disruptive because trying to make everyone laugh.
Yeah.
But I took issue with my teacher when I was in primary six. She called my mom, and she called me the class clown. I was very offended by that
Why?
because that implies that I'm the butt of the joke. I'm a fool,
Yeah.
and everyone's laughing at me, which is so not the case. It was a few of us, tomfoolery, hijinks, right? Just cracking jokes. It's like shit, like when comics shit talk, just making everyone laugh. We were all being disruptive,
Mm.
but the impression she gave was like everyone's just sitting down quietly doing their work like good Asian kids, and I'm over there waving my hands, being a moron, and that's what I don't like. I'm not a fool, and I'm not stupid. Uh, I don't take myself too seriously, but I don't like that. I'm not the butt of the joke. That's a
Mm.
big chip on my shoulder that I have.
Mm.
So like being funny actually means you got to be smart to be funny, generally speaking.
Absolutely.
Even if you do foolish looking stuff, like Mr. Bean, I think is one of the most brilliant shows ever. It's very underrated, but it's physical comedy. There's no words. It's one of the funniest things you'll ever see, and it's funny universally everywhere around the world. There's no country that's banned Mr. Bean.
I remember reading an article in the UK of the first person. I can't forget his name. I think it was Eric Idle that
Mm.
witnessed Rowan Atkinson do the very first Mr. Bean spot at an open mic comedy night
Mm-hmm.
many, many, many years ago, and he said he was watching something special.
Yep.
Yeah, it was magic.
It's brilliant.
It is.
Yeah.
But Rowan Atkinson is like he's a beautiful mind. Like he's a very intelligent human being. So
Yeah, he went to like Oxford or something.
he's very intelligent. So yeah, absolutely some of the best stand-ups are when they make it look stupid, they're actually
Mm.
very clever people.
Like they're classic Monty Python. They do
Mm.
some ridiculous silliness, but they're not fools. It
Mm.
takes intelligence to do that.
So you took offense when they called you a class clown, your
When
teacher.
my teacher framed me as the class clown, because also it wasn't like she called a few of our parents, and then you call the parents, that means like you're gonna get a hiding and come to school next day all fucked up. But she kind of tweaked the narrative to make it look like everyone's just studying hard, and this Johal is just out there he's being the class clown, and that still stings, man. That was like
Yeah.
I don't know, 20 something years ago, and I Miss Jacobs, you bitch. Sorry, I'm so bad on your show.
No, it's good. It's good to hear. Because I
She
had
was also wonderful in other ways. May she rest in peace. I don't know. She might be alive. Who knows?
I went through my grade 6 report card,
Mhm.
which my mum kept in a photo album,
Mhm.
and one of the comments was from my teacher was, "John must not tease other children in the playground." And yeah, I was offended at that because I was like, I wasn't trying to tease him.
Mhm.
I was trying to roast them to get laughs.
Yeah.
So right there and then at in grade 6.
How old is grade 6?
Fuck, I don't know. I'm not like I
It's
don't
like
know.
12, 13?
Maybe.
Okay.
Not sure. Grade 6. But yeah, way back then I was trying to solicit laughter.
Were your parents funny? Are they funny?
My parents aren't funny, but they would always neighbors would come. I know from a very young age I knew where I wanted to go because neighbors would come over, and then as soon as they left I would imitate them in front of my parents.
Really?
And my parents would laugh and find it funny. So that's when I was like, all right, I like this. This is what I can do.
Nice. Interesting.
Yeah, so to go back to you, I wasn't called a class clown, but I was called, teasing other children. And I'm like, I'm not really teasing. I'm trying to get laughter.
Gross.
So
busting balls.
busting balls, man.
Yeah.
I'm working. There was no circuit, so I'm just trying to create a gig. So do you write? Actually sit down and write?
No, not really. I used to initially when I started.
Because I ask everyone that comes on the show how they write.
No doubt. I know. That's why I prepared for this. Because I watched Matt O'Neill and someone else on the show, and I realized I have no clue. And then I thought about it very carefully.
Everyone's got a process,
Yeah.
even if it's just subconscious. Daydreaming. That's still writing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So I used to write it out verbatim and trying to remember it like a script, but that kind of fell out of favor after a while. So now my process is if I think of something, I'll get out my phone, Google Docs, and just write like a couple of lines would be the premise. And then I'll do something else and I'll have another line. I'll kind of put that in. And it's basically like, you know how you have minutes of a meeting? It'll be like dot points, and that's the bit.
Okay. And then you'll take it up on stage and you'll riff and try and
Yeah.
follow that structure.
Yep.
Okay. Do you record the set?
I record,
And
but
then
I've listened to maybe 7 out of
you
hundreds.
you've got to suck it up and listen, my friend. You've got to listen
Yeah,
back.
no doubt.
We have to.
Definitely, Definitely. It does actually really help because the 7 times that I did it, it improved my material a lot.
Yeah, I reckon it's so hard to do, man. It's so hard to listen back to your set. But the only advice I have to make it easier, I do it while I'm playing PlayStation
Oh, really?
or washing the dishes or cleaning my apartment or just snoozing on the couch. I'll put my set on in the background and I'll just play PlayStation, drive a car around a track, and then press pause if I hear something and I'm like, I'm using a lot of words there, I can cut that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also say to myself, it's okay. You're the only one reliving this experience. It's for some reason I had this feeling that every time I press play on a recording, everyone out there in the ether that listened to the gig has to go through it again.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not that way. This is private. It's secret.
Yeah.
Only I'm having this horrific, cringeworthy experience of listening back to my shit with no one laughing.
Yeah. Man, even if someone laughs as well, like the way I remember, like what I think is crush, and I listened to it, I was like, that didn't sound like that much laughter.
Yes.
Then you start thinking, am I mad?
No, but you're coming back to reality. There's no, because there's nothing worse than being a performer that comes off stage to death and going, that was all right. The crowd were a bit quiet, but fuck, I think I did well there.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you're fucking bananas. I'm not even going to talk to you.
Yeah, I never understood that. That's delusion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Straight up.
Straight up delusion. So by listening back to your set, you're canceling that delusion because you're bringing yourself back down to reality and you're listening going, actually, that wasn't that funny, but I reckon I can make it funny if I add this word or change that bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. And the few times that I did it, it made it a lot better. And sometimes, you riff, you just have that weird random word that comes out that's not going to come out while you're sitting down in front of a desk.
It doesn't happen for me.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know why. I think there's no magic. It's a vacuum.
I feel like normally the way I come up with funny shit is like either I think about it or I'm just shooting the shit with friends and I'll say something ridiculous and then I'm kind of like, oh shit, that might be a bit. Just grab the phone quickly, write that premise, and I'll go work on it later.
The closest gig to me is the Brunny. Even when I'm not gigging, I'll go there and just watch. And that starts my creative juices bubbling away. and just watching all these acts with their great ideas that don't hit, miss. I think, oh yeah, I could sort of see where they were going, and all of a sudden I go back on my material. So it's that incubation period.
Yeah.
That's why I think if you've got nothing to do and you're not gigging anywhere, it's probably better to just go to a gig and sit up the back and just watch
Oh yeah.
rather than go and see a trained professional. I'd
Oh,
rather
yeah.
go see open mic because it's just loose and
Interesting.
it's not correct. It's not right. It's just vomiting creativity left, right, and center, and it's a brainstorm, and that just generates all this wild creativity inside me. But if I go see a professional like Jamoan, I'm seeing beautifully structured, quality material, and it's just making me sink deeper into my chair, going, I should give up.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
is too good. This
No doubt.
motherfucker's good. So,
Do you ever do like cross training for the mind?
nah.
Yeah.
What is that?
So like
Sudoku?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
something-
really?
I mean, it could be, but it could be like one of the things I try and do is like I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure I read because your mind's gotta be sharp. You gotta be able to put together sentences and shit. I'm saying shit on stage or I'm trying to write, so I should read. I don't know if it actually helped. Honestly, I think maybe just hanging out with my friends, having a drink, and just making fun of their shirt probably is. It's gonna be a lot better than like Salman Rushdie's. I'm reading Satanic Verses, and it's like wonderful. It's a creative work and all that. But like, I'm not gonna like. I'll joke about how this cunt wrote a book and someone wanted to murder him in a country where no one reads. Like that's what I would say.
Yeah, what did he... Did you read the Satanic Verses?
I'm halfway through it. Yeah.
You're halfway through it.
Yeah.
What compelled you to read it?
I bought it at a like a op shop for like $6,
Really?
and it was super banned in Singapore. Like a lot of stuff was banned, and I was like, "Fuck, I gotta read this, see what the fuss is about." And I like him as a writer anyway. I like his stuff. He does like magic realism, which is interesting shit to me.
So this was what does he... what's his gripe? What does he do in Satanic Verses? Does he basically diss on Islam?
He doesn't actually. He kind of mentions
Because
like,
Iran wanted him dead, right?
yeah, the Shah wanted to kill him. He mentioned some kind of like foundational story that happened in Islam, kind of refers to it in the book, but changes it a little bit, changes some of the names. And I think one of the names for the prophet that he used is like considered insulting, but it's like an allegory, right? Whatever. He's not directly. He's kind of
It's just off axis.
yeah, exactly.
But it's enough for the Iranians to go, we know what you're doing, motherfucker.
it's enough for people. No one actually read the book. Everyone is just it's kind of like, oh, you mentioned this person, you said this word, it must be offensive, so that's off with his head. But it had nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? It's like it's like if someone read Da Vinci Code and you're like, oh shit, kill this guy. And I'm sure a lot of people were like that.
So it's not insulting to the Islam faith.
I mean, if you're someone who's like a fundamentalist, you'll get insulted by every little thing.
Yeah.
But to like a rational person, it isn't. It's
Mm.
not. And then, but people just take it the wrong way.
Is he attacking Shiites or Sunnis or...
No, not at all.
Not at all.
He's got it's about like two dudes who are kind of like, one is like an angel, one's like a devil, and they kind of mimic these archetypal, like the archangel Gabriel, which has been in Islam and Christianity, I think. But they're like just dudes who are like actors in real life, blah blah blah.
Okay.
They have their little trajectory. One of them starts growing horns and turning into the devil or something. So magic realism. So it's like magical shit happens, but they kind of like, yeah, that's just it. And then there's other parts in the book where it talks about sort of like when Islam was founded, kind of like the mythology around it.
Right. So it sounds like he's defiling Islam.
I mean, it
and
can be.
if you're an extremist.
Oh yeah,
Not
100%.
extremist, but if you love Islam and the Quran, it's like any sort of...
Oh yeah, and you can't even mention
Yeah.
certain names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. You know how you can't draw certain people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't draw the prophet or whatever.
No, you can't draw Muhammad.
Yeah.
That's, Charlie Hebdo.
Exactly.
And they're still fucking doing shit like that. They're
Yeah.
crazy.
Those guys are nuts, man.
Nuts.
But yeah. So I thought reading Satanic Verses would help.
Nice.
I mean,
Anything for a vocabulary.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, I used to be really into like English, as in like in high school. So when I went to national service, I brought my thesaurus to camp.
Really?
I was so into because I was like mad studying for the exams, right? A levels, and like English was my favorite subject, and I had to get my aim was to get like the best grade, which I got, and then all I would do is I live, breathe, and shit and eat English, especially. So I would read stuff. One of the questions, they have like 5 questions, which you find a synonym for the word. So like frightened, it has to be like you either explain it or you find another word for it. So if someone said frightened, you can say like terrorized or aghast or whatever. So I would have a thesaurus and I would just read it for fun. I'll think of a word, like terror. I was like, what's another word for terror? And also because like we're doing Gothic literature, and for the essays you have to use the word frightened a lot. Like this character was scared, frightened, and then it's like there's only so many times you can say it. What's another word? Terrified, mortified, blah blah blah. I would just read it for fun. Yeah, shit scared.
Well, was this because you all along was your passion for English in the fact that you one day wanted to become a comedian and you wanted to move to another country where English was the predominant language, so you wanted to have a good understanding of these tools so you can create good jokes?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
No, when I was like 18 or 19, I fell in love with literature, and my dream was to do a literature degree.
Really?
Because 3 years of reading all those books and studying it to me was like, it's like getting paid to do what you like. I was like, I can't believe I get to do a degree where I read this shit for 3 years. I didn't know what I wanted to do after that. But after high school, you have to go to national service for 2 years. And within 6 months, I was like, fuck these books, man.
Really?
This is the dumbest shit ever. Fuck that.
What's one of the hardcore books you've read in terms of English literature? For me, it's Tolstoy, War and Peace.
Fuck.
I read that in Brisbane when I was doing a week at the sit-down comedy store.
Holy shit, you read that outside of school, like just for fun?
Just, I wanted to read it.
Wow.
I'm like, I want to read the biggest, fattest fucking book, and I knew Tolstoy, War and Peace was like, because that day someone insulted me saying, you talk too much, it's War and Peace. You're all War and Peace, and I didn't know what that meant. Yeah. And then
Wow. War, what is it good for? You know, that Seinfeld gag.
Yeah.
How was it? Did you like it?
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was fucking beautiful. It was it started with Napoleon's push into Moscow and how he was winning campaigns and how he got confident and how the Russians fucked him by burning Moscow and leaving.
Oh, so it's based on like real events.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Interwoven.
Yeah.
And then there's a love story happening off with this young ballet dancer. I forget her name, and she was marrying one of the czars. And yeah, man, it was.
Was Tolstoy Greek?
Russian.
Okay. Oh yeah, the Russians write intense books.
Yeah.
Crime and Punishment.
Yeah, they're hardcore.
Yeah.
I don't think they can do like Disney like
like
Jumanji. We
like,
don't do this stupid shit.
If a Russian wrote like a children's book, all the kids would die at the end. Be parents sent to a gulag. 3 little pigs would be like tried for crimes against the state
and hung.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, for sure, man. What makes those motherfuckers so fucking dark? I think it's the climate.
Yeah, I think it's the cold.
It's the climate and
I honestly do.
And the asshole political system that underpins them.
Yeah.
It's just a horrible political system since day one.
I think in Russia you can't be not a hard person. Man or woman, you have to be hard as nails.
Hard as fuck.
You get eaten alive, man.
Abso-fucking-lutely. In World War II, they didn't have enough guns, so they distributed guns and ammunition to every second person. And as you dropped, you would find a gun. If you got shot, your bullets would become available for another soldier.
Oh my god.
They lost like 50 million people. They were lemmings. They just fucking, because they had such a big population. But yeah, they're
wow.
Cold.
And that's just in the psyche. That's in their, like, you know, someone would have known someone whose cousin, brother, uncle just got killed in like several wars.
Yeah, and you contrast Russia to Greece, where I'm from. That's what's in my blood. We grew up, well, you know, we've got the Greek islands. Life is good. So what did we do in Greece? We got loans to buy jet skis and we couldn't pay them off. and the whole country collapsed. Like, the biggest fuck up they made in Europe was when the European Union became one, Greece was given a AAA credit.
Yeah.
Before that, Greece had a horrible credit rating.
Yeah.
But once you join the European Union, they rub off your old credit score and give you triple plus, which was Europe's. So we were allowed to borrow money. So the banks in Greece just borrowed money.
Yeah.
And they gave it to all these fucking Greeks who bought jet skis, Porsches,
Really?
celebrated summer. And then when it was time to call the loans in, we couldn't. The country collapsed. That's why we were broke as fuck.
Oh, really?
That's
yeah.
pretty much Greece's economic catastrophe. In layman's terms, whittled down
Yeah.
in two sentences.
Damn. It's fun though. It's like that irresponsible dude who gets the pokies winning and just like, fuck the rent. Let's just get smack.
Yeah. But I wanted to talk about Indian culture because I find that fascinating because a couple of people I work with at the pub, they're Indian.
Yeah.
And what fascinates me is like there's this wonderful girl I work with, and because she was born in India, she lived in India all her life. She's so fucking straight down and narrow, and she'd be like, John, in India, you would be too old. The only way for you to get young, beautiful woman is to have money.
Yeah, 100%.
She's like, it's different, and she's like, we have caste systems.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like. Internally in India, you guys are discriminatory as fuck.
Oh yeah, Indian people are some of the most racist people on earth, man.
But in a wonderful, I fucking love it. I fucking love it. Are there 4 castes? Do you know?
Oh, dude, there's hundreds.
Oh, aren't they bracketed in 4?
Maybe.
Are the Dalits the lowest? Do you know?
Yeah, that's the untouchables, isn't it? I'm like getting all this knowledge secondhand from my mom.
I heard that the Brahmins. I'm not
The
saying
Brahmins, yeah, but that's
they're the
like
top.
amongst the Hindus though. So
Okay.
like, if someone's like a Muslim, to them Brahmin ain't shit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and to like Sikhs, which are my people, we're not supposed to have a caste. That's why everyone's called Singh, because you take away any kind of identifying surname. Like, I'm not supposed to have Johal, because Johal, your caste will kind of give a hint as to your
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 surname.
surname will give a hint as to your caste. So like, you know the brand Bose, the speaker brand. Yeah. Oh, is this Bose?
That one isn't, but this one is. Yeah, Bose.
Oh, you got the nice one. Okay.
Yeah. That's even better. That's like from the radio studio when I left.
Yeah. Yeah. So Bose, that dude, he's like Chandrasekhar Bose or something. Bose is like famous. That last name, they're like rich people.
So Bose is an Indian name.
Bose, yeah, Bose.
I fucking had no idea.
Yeah, it's an
It
Indian
sounds. I thought it was like Scandinavian.
No, it's an Indian name. And then like, there's certain names, so like, it's like a Rockefeller might be, that's a rich family. So to a smaller extent, your last name kind of gives away
Your caste.
your economic position. So like Sikhs, you're not supposed to have a last name. That's why every Sikh person is something Singh, something Singh. Singh is everyone's last name, or you're a Kaur, Kaur. That's it. But Sikhs have caste system unofficially.
You do, yeah. You
Yeah, because
can't
it's
escape it.
discriminatory as fuck, man. Yeah.
Very. So is what's Sikh for dummies?
Yeah. It's a religion that sort of started around like 1500s, 1400s, and it came out as like a rebellion towards sort of Hindus and Muslims. They're like, we're not a fan of all that shit. We're going to start our own thing. And it was a very militant race because they always kind of had to fight against Hindus and Muslims, essentially. And then, now it's just like a religion.
Is the religion Buddha?
No, they follow, so there's like 10 gurus, the 10 teachers. They were like these 10 dudes.
Are they gods?
They're sort of like semi-gods.
So
They were real,
They were mortal,
they were mortal, like sort
real
of
people.
people who were around, yeah.
But when they died, they became deities.
I mean, they sort of worshipped like deities, like saints, I guess.
Okay, so there's
Yeah.
10 of them,
10 of them.
and each one has one is for love, one is for.
Oh no, one came after another, and each one just did stuff. So the first one was like, I think they wanted to get him to wear the black thread that means you're a Hindu, I think.
Mhm.
And then he was like, fuck that thread, I'm not about that. And he's like, I don't need religion, blah, blah, blah. And then the second guy, like, added on. The third guy, I can't remember what they did. Probably some good stuff. And the last guy was like the badass. He was the warrior. He had the weapons, and he fought like a bunch of people, and they killed a whole bunch of people. And then he was like, this is what you got to do. You got to have the 5Ks, and you got to like, that's why they have long hair.
Mm.
You got to have the 5Ks, do all this shit, and then you're a Sikh, and there's only one God, and you can, eat pork.
I'm gonna say you can eat pork. That's the trade-off. Are they? Is that the Punjab? Are they
Yeah, so Sikhs are mainly from Punjab. if I'm not
Punjab,
wrong,
that
yeah.
region.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But there's also Muslims there, but yeah, mainly Sikhs are from there.
Yeah, I think also another thing I found about the Indians, they remind me of old Greece and old Italy in
Mhm.
terms of my chef, who's a wonderful human being.
Mhm.
He's 25
Mhm.
and he can't wait for COVID to end so he can go home and meet his wife,
Oh yeah.
who he hasn't met her yet, but the family have picked her.
Yep.
Just like the Greeks, like when my mum, it was all arranged.
Oh really?
Yeah, well, yeah.
You guys do that too?
Yeah, we had arranged marriages back then.
Wow. I've never knew that.
Yeah, one of my aunties came out here to meet a guy,
Mhm.
and he lied in his photo. He sent her a photo when he was like 20, but he was really like 60.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and
That's
she
a
said
big lie.
massive. So she said, "Fuck you, I'm not going to marry you." So she just moved into Brunswick in a flat around the corner and
Mhm.
visited a local milk bar where there was an Aussie kid at 22 years of age that fell in love with her.
Mm.
And she said, "I'll stay with you." And that's why we all stayed in Brunswick. And the rest of us came out from Greece and then had dances where we paired up. Our parents met at specific dances
Mhm.
and they helped them pair off.
Wow.
Mm.
I had no idea that arranged marriage was like
was a
not
co-
a Indian only thing.
It was a cold, unwelcoming place, Australia, when my mum came out here in the 60s
Yeah.
and 70s. There was a lot of discrimination.
Yeah.
The wogs weren't welcome, you know.
Yeah, I always find that fascinating.
Yeah, well, there was a gang born in Brunswick called the Lebanese Tigers, and they
Yeah.
were born in the 70s, and it was a group of Lebanese
Mhm.
plus Greeks, Italians, all ganging up
Mhm.
against the Australians that were bashing all the immigrants coming
Holy
in
shit,
to Brunswick.
they were bashing them.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely.
Jesus.
Because
That's
you're
so crazy.
different world.
Yeah.
But it just repeats in cycles. That's why it's all fucking stupid.
Tribalism,
It's
isn't it?
it's fucking all stupid. Like there's a new wave now, and it's probably the Sudanese that are copying it, and then
Yeah.
I'm sure in 30 years it's going to be another culture that's going to cop it.
Yeah, because when the Vietnamese, I'm sure they had some issues as well,
yeah, absolutely.
and like I don't know whoever else. The Indians don't seem Indians seem to have escaped the whole thing though.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Who knows? But yeah, it's interesting. I think that's Australia.
Hmm.
I think it's just Australia reminds me of watching someone set that hasn't worked out yet, but it's coming together.
That's such a great line.
You know, like this country, it's still finding itself. you
Yeah,
know?
true.
It's got to say sorry for its past, and it's got to look forward to what it's going to become. You know,
Australia does feel kind of new.
very fucking new, man.
Mm.
200 years,
Mm.
right? Look at America.
Although if you say that in like certain parts of inner city Melbourne, they'd be like, "You can't say that. It's been around for 50,000 years." But you know what we mean.
Yeah, I'm talking about like post.
Yeah. Do you ever? You know what I admire about you? You say "leb" in your set, and then which is fine, and it gets like a great laugh, and I don't give a fuck, you know. But like, yeah, man, with Melbourne comedy, there's so much like woke horse shit,
Yeah.
and then like some people kind of get into trouble. They don't really, but online, that's a good thing that you're
Yeah.
not on Facebook, because some of the shit you see people just going on for days about nothing, and it's like, go write a set instead of just getting professionally offended every second day.
Yeah, if anyone's got a problem, they come up to me. I mean,
Has you ever got any shit? for
yeah,
anything?
always,
Really? Okay.
absolutely. I mean, I was at Fairfield, Dave O'Neill's gig.
Yeah, Grandview.
Grandview. I did Grandview.
Yeah.
And it's the pub's owned by a Lebanese family.
Oh.
And I did my Lebo joke.
Mhm.
And at the bar, she came up to me. She goes, I'm Lebo. And I'm like, yeah, but when I say Lebo, I'm talking about those fucking Lebos.
Yeah,
the ones
yeah.
that are on ice, the cooked ones. She's like, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because we grew up with Lebanese
Yeah.
as neighbors. And yeah, there's a difference between Lebanese and Lebos.
Yep.
That's the distinction I'm trying
Yep.
to not make, but it's an assumption I'm making.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
how I get away with it.
I love it because, like, when you do that bit, it's a great joke, and like we all know what you mean. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
But like some people, they just want to get offended. They just hear the word and they're like, all right, this is what you mean. You said that word, which ties into this. If you say faggot or something, that means therefore you mean this. Doesn't matter if you weren't using any hate. And I feel like you're so fearless, man. You've got like, and you do like the retard voice. You know the one about the kid with the bicycle?
Yeah, I do. Well, see, what happened to me, once I had, when I did, like you can't, when you do mushrooms, you go so deep inside your psyche. And I remember when I was on a mushroom trip, I had nothing but love for everyone and everything. And I'm not talking about love in terms of possessing it like a partner, having a partner, that sort of love. I mean like unequivocal love of everything, that we're all connected somehow, that we all came from a massive explosion 14 billion years ago, from a single infinite point in space-time to all this now. There is a connection. There are the atoms that make me up and make you up, make the table, the chairs. We're all made of the same particles. If we were to open a pantry, the universe is flour, eggs, water. That's what we are. And I'm like, I'm going to say on stage whatever the fuck I want, because I know deep down inside, I've searched myself. There's no hatred. But if I had a profound mushroom experience and had a voice in my head like Hitler's going, fuck the black people, then I'd be really concerned. But I have nothing but love for everyone and everything. So, and also that,
I think that comes across.
Also live and let live, like let people be, like, you know, I don't know about you, but stand-up comics, we're some of the most liberal, open-minded people you will ever meet. Because we're exposed to so many different ideas on stage and different people as well. So I get a buzz when I go to family functions and I hear family members, cousins, friends just not understand trans people and diss on them. And I start laughing like, what have they got to do with your fucking existence? Like, what are you afraid of? And I push the envelope just to see what's in their head, how they're tuned. Why so much aggression towards someone that's different to you?
No doubt. You know? I think also like we're so liberal that when you meet someone who's like crazy or doesn't believe in, like, I don't know, the moon landing or something, we just don't really give a fuck. It's like, oh, that's just kind of funny. Like, everything is through the lens of like, that's funny. You don't take shit seriously. Like, I don't really care.
Yeah, one of my the pub where I worked at, not the head chef, the other chef, the sous chef, it's called the sous chef, one below. She reckons that, yes, it's flat. And there's
my God.
Yeah. and there's no such thing as space.
Wow.
Yeah,
Space is
so
fake.
I'm fucking pouring beers, and one of my managers comes up to me. She goes, you know, I won't mention her name. She goes, you know, blah, blah, blah in the kitchen. I'm like, yeah. She's like, she doesn't believe in space, and she thinks the earth is flat. And I'm like, holy fuck, I've hit the jackpot. So I'm like, I poured the beer, and I went straight into the kitchen, and I'm like, tell me. She's like, well, how do you know? How do you fucking know? Have you been to outer space?
Oh, man,
I went,
awesome.
no. Have you been to Italy? She said, no. Well, how do you know fucking Italy's not there? She's like, dude, get fucked. I'm trying to get into their head because I'm very interested in, I think as comedians, we're always exploring. We always want to, I think it's, as a comic and as a human being, you should always be pushing people as to the why, you know?
But you don't get emotionally invested and get angry?
Sometimes I do, but I try and back away.
Yep.
Like I read Mein Kampf to work out why Hitler hated the Jews, you know? Like that sort of, like I want to know why he just fucking wanted to kill so many of them.
Where do you just get it from Dimmicks? Or?
Yeah, Dimmicks. Just don't have it on public transport. It doesn't look good on public transport, especially a shaved head like me.
Walking around with Mein Kampf. Holy shit.
Not a good idea to read it with a baseball cap and a rainbow scarf and just call it research.
Oh man, it's like you live in Brunswick as well. It's like the most un-Mein Kampfy suburb. But
yeah, that was he came from angry. He came from an angry place. He was angry, man.
The chef? The sous
no,
chef?
Hitler.
Oh, him, yeah. Yeah, he was quite angry.
He came from anger, and it's like before, you know how we talked about we had all this. We have anger as comics about other comics and what they're doing, and how come I'm not on that gig. Well, yeah, just like that can go. That anger can become exponential if you don't channel it into something else like your work and produce.
That's so true, man.
You know, and that's what fucking Hitler did. He goes, I hate him so much. But rather than just.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point, because at the end of the day, like, it would have come from a deep, deep sense of dissatisfaction and anger, right? He wouldn't have kept going in that way. Like, he could have just been a dictator who's like, all right, the Autobahn is a great idea. Let's just make other cool shit. With Germany, it'd just be awesome. Like, all the Scandinavian countries are just, like, chilled out places. No one in Sweden is like, let's take over Denmark, you know?
No. I think they were Vikings, right? But
I think they got it out of the system.
They got it out of the system. Yeah. They go, we've done enough raping for a few thousand years now. Let's leave
Took enough shit from the British. Now we're all rich. We got IKEA. Like, we got meatballs. Who needs anything else?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, apparently the Vikings used to get on mushrooms and go berserk, like the berserkers. I find that so crazy, man. I can barely look at my phone when I'm on mushrooms.
Absolutely.
How do you kill someone?
Yeah, I would approach. If I was on mushrooms in a battlefield, I'd put my gun down and try and hug him, or try and do something poetic like an interpretive dance by putting a flower in the barrel and like raising it up and go, we can. And then a bullet would go through my fucking brains, I reckon. Like, it's the last thing I want to do, and especially like in Vietnam, where soldiers in the jungle were doing marijuana. Like, I couldn't imagine a more profound paranoia experience than being stoned in the jungle with the Viet Cong coming up from underground shooting at you. Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Do you know Hitler's troops were on amphetamines?
Yeah, definitely.
The Blitzkrieg.
Yeah.
Because the Poles couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
And the Poles were like retreating over 6 days. And they were like, these cunts aren't resting.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on? They're having no time out, no smokers, nothing. It's because they were on
yeah, fucking crazy, man.
They were burning the glass Barbie in the Panzer.
See, you can be a meth addict and be productive. Just join the army.
They could have. The Poles, unfortunately, all they had to do was put up some cash converters as they were retreating, and the Nazis would have sold their tanks and trucks to get.
Do you ever just walk into cash converters and you can just feel the junkie energy? Like, even though none of them are in there, you're like, this is not where happy transactions.
Yeah.
You know, to quote Louis C. Like, whatever comic, this is where dreams come to die.
Yeah, man.
This is like cash converters.
You look around, you see the souls of objects.
Yeah, this is just like, you look at it, that's like 4 lives destroyed.
Yeah,
that toaster was the last thing he sold before he killed himself. Or, like, it's not a good energy.
Yeah. Where are you at life if you take a toaster to cash converters? Like, seriously, it's done.
I feel like there's such extremes. It could, on the one hand, be like, your life is absolutely shit, you've lost everything. Or you could just be like a uni student moving and like, I'm not gonna have bread anymore.
True. Yeah.
It's so extreme.
Yeah, I'm celiac, I'm selling my toaster.
Yeah, man. It could be like, you know, I've had enough PlayStation, I want to write some more. Done. Or it could be, I stole my son's PlayStation and like, this is going to be my last hit.
Yeah, but chances are, if those objects could talk, that'd be horrific tales.
Oh my God, yeah. Just pain.
So I'm touch wood. It's not, I can I just do, I'm not out of control with a drug habit, you know. Thank fuck I don't spiral like some of my friends. Do you have a vice? Like, some of my friends, we started gambling and they couldn't stop, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you go, like, they've got multis on all the time, they've got their TAB out, and I'm like, fuck, and I'm like, thank God I just haven't fallen into that trap.
Yep.
I think alcohol's my only vice.
Is it really?
Well, yeah, like,
do you get gacked? I just learned that word and I'm using it so much.
Is gacked pissed?
I think it's more than pissed. It's like when you get so just drunk and messy. I think it just sounds, just gacked.
That's part of our Australian culture. I mean, when I went to
it is really.
It's part of our culture. When I went to Greece, my Greek cousins were like, "You guys drink too much," and I'm like, "This is fucking Australia, bitch.
Yeah.
This is how we roll. We're bingers."
You are, and it's so acceptable, and that's why it's kind of like in Singapore. There's like this stereotype where the Indians drink the most. It's So the Indians drink, the Chinese gamble, and the Malay people take drugs. That's just
Do the Malay people take drugs? Is that
apparently
the-
that's that's the stereotype. Like if you read a news article, this is gonna get me into so much trouble if anyone watches it. But if you read a news article, if there's like a drug thing, it's usually a Malay dude. If there's a gambling issue, 100% Chinese guy.
Chinese,
Even
yeah.
the ones here in Crown, it's always some Asian dude.
Well, man, we've got private jets that bring him here.
Exactly.
We fucking want
Dude,
them.
Chinese people love a gamble. One of my best friends is a Chinese dude from Singapore, Derek. And when he came to Melbourne years ago, 5 days in, I brought him out every day, different bar, restaurants, Yarra Valley, everything. He said, it's all right. He could not shut up about Crown. Every day he's like, let's go to Crown, let's go to Crown. Finally, I was like, fuck, all right, let's go to Crown.
Because gambling's banned in China. You can't gamble anywhere.
What, really?
Yeah, you can't gamble in China. There's no casinos.
Oh, that's why everyone goes to Macau.
Yes.
Ah, that makes sense.
Why do they love gambling
They
so
love
much?
it, man. He loved it, dude.
Do you know why?
I don't know, it's part
Big
of their
question
culture.
to answer.
I think, like in Singapore, like Chinese people generally, they love a gamble. They love like the mahjong and the thing with the money, and they play
They're
pool.
very
they've got bets on it.
superstitious.
Money is a big part of the culture as well.
Yeah, and superstition. Like number 8.
Yeah, 8's lucky. 4
Yeah.
is really bad.
Yes, they'll seek out machines at
Mm.
my work with 8.
Yeah.
Lucky 88.
No doubt.
Some of the games themselves are targeted towards. They would never admit that, but fuck off. They're targeted towards the Asians.
100%. I'm not sure if this is deliberate. I think it is. Like Penfolds, Bin 8, Bin 88. They sell so much better with the Asian market.
Wow.
I work in a bottle shop. Anything like the Penfolds Bin 138, if the 136 is better, it doesn't matter. 138 is what someone would buy. You're gonna give someone a gift. You will give Bin 8.
You give the luck.
Yeah, even if it's a $50 bottle, you can buy it for like 600 because it's got 8.
Why is the 8?
I don't know, something in the Chinese numerical system where 8's lucky,
right.
and then 4. I know why 4 is considered bad luck because the word for 4 sounds very close to the word for death,
Right.
so they don't like it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like Indian people don't really give a shit. Like just drink.
Yeah, Indians like their alcohol.
Yeah. I know, that's my advice.
My-
It's so stereotypical as well.
This girl I dated ran a bar in the city, and when they'd have Indian nights, and it was
That's a bad idea.
heavy on the whiskey,
Yeah, Black Label.
black label, and
Yeah.
green,
Oh, really?
which is one of my favorite
Yeah,
blends.
Yep.
But yeah, whiskeys. They love their whiskeys.
they do.
Mm.
One of my my sister's best friend used to be a flight attendant, and then she would always ask her, "Why is it after Air India flight, you go to duty free and Black Label is just sold out?" She's like, "Why do Indian people like it?" And I have no idea. I don't know what it is.
Because it's one better than red. You got to go one up.
It's one up, but also it's not too expensive. $50 a bottle, you get fucked up,
Yeah.
but it's not shit. And I don't know, maybe it's the Indian macho thing where it's like, yeah, Black Label, red's for pussies.
Yeah. Is a bit off topic, but I never asked you about like a partner. Do you have a partner, a girlfriend?
No.
You don't.
No.
Is your mum like pressuring you for like
To get married?
for a good Indian girl?
Nah.
Or
My mom's pretty modern and she doesn't
that's
really give a shit.
good.
My grandma does though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but my grandma's old.
So she hasn't got long to go, so she won't be nagging you for too much longer.
That's kind of all she says. It's like when is he gonna get married? It's like give it a break, man.
They won't. They're fucking broken records, man.
And it's not gonna solve shit. It's gonna make my life worse, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
If you think so, then it will. Because
If
you
you
will
don't
make
wanna
that
get-
happen.
Yeah, if you don't want to get married and someone keeps telling you to get married, and if you do it, it's probably not a good thing.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
Do you want to get married?
Not particularly, but I'm not anti it. Like if it happens, it happens.
It's very easy to be single if you're a stand-up. It's nice and simple. It's a
No
good
doubt.
life. You work, you come home, you prepare your set, you go out, you do your gig.
Mm.
It's good.
It's a good life,
I like it.
no doubt.
I've been talking for heaps, man. I should let you go.
Sure thing.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me. This was grouse.
Pleasure. Anytime. Thanks, man.
Thanks, brother.
See you, Gary.
See you, bruh.